and welcome to another episode of Mythology Monday. My name is Alice Hanov, and I am your host and the author of the series The Head, the Heart, and the Heir. And today we are going to start talking about the 10 different sorcerer lines that you will run into in my world of Torian. We are going to start with the line of Ares. This is the first line alphabetically. As you can probably guess, the line of Ares is founded by the Greek god Ares. He was the god of war, also known as Mars in the Roman gods. Their color that is used for their robes and where the Titan's eyes will flash to is burnt orange, so think of like a pumpkin pie almost, and their line mark is the axe. Now you'll remember from last week that the line mark is the tattoo that will show up on the bottom of the neck to help sorcerers identify what other sorcerers are line-wise when they meet them. So their line is this lovely axe, and the powers that are typically exhibited by an Ares is they have chaos. So what that means is they are able to bring out chaos in people and to convince people and bring about exceptional violence in the people. So now we're going to talk, now that you know the basics, we're going to talk a little bit about the inspiration and what brought this line about. So I've always been a very big mythology nerd. I love me some Greek mythology. I've always loved Greek mythology and the Greek gods and that. So when I was coming up with the different lines for my world of Torian, it made sense that you would have a god of war be starting one of the lines. And so how Ares from Greek mythology found his way into Torian, my sorcerer world, is a very simple story. When the Trojan War was happening, Ares and a couple other of the gods and people that you'll learn about later, such as Poseidon and Cassandra and Hades, they realized things were going badly earlier than everybody else because clearly they had Cassandra on their side, and unlike everybody else who didn't believe anything she said, the gods were very much aware that she had premonition power. So when she said things were going south, they listened. And what they did is the four of them managed to sneak away from Troy and escaped. They got into a boat and they sailed far, far away, and then they ended up, thanks to Poseidon helping, clearly, they ended up in my world of Torian through some portal in another dimension and that. And so they settled in the world that is the Forbidden Lands there. Now, clearly having four very powerful sorcerer premonition type people show up made them welcomed immediately by the different sorcerer type people who were already there, especially with Poseidon's powers of being able to control the sea and the weather, and the fact that the Forbidden Lands is an island made them very welcomed by the mere sorcerer that was already existing in there. Even though it meant he had to share his territory, he was okay with this. So the four of them settled into the world very nicely. They started dividing up the territories for the different people to live in the different areas of things. The way the Forbidden Lands is broken up is in the center is the castle that is the home of the head, whoever is in charge at that time. And then there are different territories all around it that are almost like pieces of a pie, where each of the 10 lines has their own territory, and the territory is set up to be exactly what you would want for that. So Ares is one of those territories that has a lot of rocks, a lot of jagged things. When you control chaos and violence, you have a lot of things that you could throw around or, impale people on. They're very delightful like that. But so they are one of the more violent and temperamental lines. They are known as being very powerful, and for the last several generations they've been the head more often than any of the other lines have been, simply because they come from a god, and so their power that they're passing along to their children and their children's children is quite astronomical. Compared to some of the lines that were founded by more human people who had mythical abilities, the god lines tend to have a lot of oomph behind them when they're doing things. And so the Ares line is known as being the most powerful, the most intimidating, and it's the line that nobody really wants to mess with, if we're being honest. But the fun thing about the Ares line as well is that they're all a little bit different, shall we say. They did come from a god of war. They have been intermixed with a lot of the other sorcerer lines, so they have a lot of craziness to them. But yeah, so the line of Ares is the first line we've talked about now, and I look forward to sharing all the other lines with you. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. You don't want to miss what we're going to talk about next week, which is the line of Cassandra.